Okay.
6 days ago, Russia's Vladimir Putin sought to shake the very foundations of the free world, thinking he could make it bend to his menacing ways.
Jesus Christ, like a wizard.
But he badly miscalculated. He thought he could roll into Ukraine and the world would roll over. Instead, he met with a wall of strength he never anticipated or imagined. He met the Ukrainian people.
True. True. A mall of strength. True. Misspoke.
President Zelensky.
Omega lol. Chat, are you with me? Chat.
Every Ukrainian,
Hello.
their fearlessness, their courage, their determination literally inspires the world. Groups of citizens blocking tanks with their bodies. Everyone from students to retirees to teachers turned soldiers defending their homeland. And in this struggle, President Zelensky said in his speech to the European Parliament, "Light will win over darkness." The Ukrainian ambassador to the United States is here tonight, sitting with the First Lady.
Really is a wizard.
Let each of us, if you're able to stand and send an unmistakable signal to the world of Ukraine.
Okay.
Woo! Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. She's bright, she's strong, and she's resolved.
This is such a free win for Biden, man. The response that Biden was supposed to give was pretty straightforward, pretty obvious, and he did it, and it's just like a slam dunk, right? You know? Like, it's not even that impressive, but...
Yes. We, the United States of America, stand with the Ukrainian people. Throughout our history, we've learned this lesson. When dictators do not pay a price for their aggression, they cause more chaos. They keep moving, and the cost, the threats to America and America to the world keeps rising. That's why the NATO alliance was created, to secure peace and stability in Europe after World War II. The United States is a member, along with 29 other nations. It matters. American diplomacy matters. American resolve matters. Putin's latest attack on Ukraine was premeditated and totally unprovoked. He rejected repeated efforts at diplomacy. He thought the West and NATO wouldn't respond. He thought he could divide us at home, in this chamber, in this nation. He thought he could divide us in Europe as well. But Putin was wrong. We are ready. We are united, and that's what we did. We stayed united. We prepared extensively and carefully. We spent months building coalitions of other freedom-loving nations in Europe and the Americas, from America to the
Omega
Asian
lol.
and
Presidency
African
over.
continents.
It goes back to Trump now.
To
Never
confront
misspoke.
Putin. Like many of you, I spent countless hours unifying our European allies. We shared with the world in advance what we knew Putin was planning and precisely how we would try to falsify
I want him to say it
and justify
like
his
Putin.
aggression. We countered Russia's lies with the truth. And now that he's acted, the free world is holding him accountable, along with 27 members of the European Union, including France, Germany, Italy, as well as countries like the United Kingdom, Canada, Japan, Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and many others. Even Switzerland are inflicting pain on Russia and supporting the people of Ukraine. Putin is now isolated from the world more than he has ever been. Together,
we have to carefully thread the needle because we have to condemn Russian imperialism in a way that doesn't implicate American imperialism, okay? We don't want to be too specific with our condemnations here. We got to leave the table open.
Together, along with our allies, we are right now enforcing powerful economic sanctions. We're cutting off Russia's largest banks from the international financial system, preventing Russia's central bank from defending the Russian ruble, making Putin's $630 billion war fund worthless. We're choking Russia's access. We're choking Russia's access to technology that will sap its economic strength and weaken its military for years to come. Tonight, I say to the Russian oligarchs and the corrupt leaders who bilked billions of dollars off this violent regime, no more. The United States, I mean it.
As opposed to our wealthy people who have never built tremendous wealth off the back of...
The United States Department of Justice...
I'm being cynical, of course. The things that Biden is saying right now are pretty much the only things he could be expected to say. It's, you know...
Assembling a dedicated task force to go after the crimes of the Russian oligarchs. We're joining with European allies to find and seize their yachts, their luxury apartments, their private jets. We're coming for your ill-begotten gains. And tonight, I'm announcing that we will join our allies in closing off American airspace to all Russian flights, further isolating Russia and adding additional squeeze on their economy.
Okay, sorry I have to pause. I have a real thing to say now. I actually don't like this. Okay, here's the issue. There are two sets of interests here, Ukraine's and Biden's, and they don't overlap perfectly. The issue is right now Biden is posturing as a strongman, basically. This is strength, you know. Yeah, you fuck with our, you know, our political hegemon, you know, like you mess around, well, we'll show you, right? This makes him look strong. It's going to be very good for his career. This is going to be like, you know, a popular move on his part. The problem is this makes the behavior that's happening as a result of Russia's invasion look more America-centric, you know. Russia's line is that Ukraine is a U.S. puppet state, and this kind of reaffirms that. The language being used here, it's like, you know, yeah, you mess with Ukraine, well, now America's coming after you. Which, of course, I mean, that's not really what's happening, right? They mess with Ukraine, and as a result, pretty much all of the non-Russian, like, puppets or allies in the world are like, okay, well, this is unacceptable. But that would be more of a unilateral coalition kind of thing, and that doesn't make Biden look as strong. So, yeah, it's framing. It's about framing.
He has no idea what's coming. The ruble has already lost 30% of its value.
That's true.
The Russian stock market has lost 40% of its value.
That's true.
And trading remains suspended.
It's going to be bad.
The Russian economy is reeling, and Putin alone is the one to blame.
Okay.
Together with our allies, we're providing support to the Ukrainians in their fight for freedom. Military assistance, economic assistance, humanitarian assistance. We're giving more than $1 billion of direct assistance to Ukraine, and will continue to aid the Ukrainian people as they defend their country and help ease their suffering.
No value?
But let me be clear. Our forces are not engaged and will not engage in the conflict with Russian forces in Ukraine.
Conflict.
Our forces are not going to Europe to fight Ukraine, but to defend our NATO allies in the event that Putin decides to keep moving west. For that purpose, we have mobilized American ground forces, air squadrons, ship deployments to protect NATO countries, including Poland, Romania, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. And as I've made crystal clear,
he's been speaking a lot tonight.
The United States and our allies will defend every inch of territory that is NATO territory with the full force of our collective power. Every single inch. And we're clear-eyed. The Ukrainians are fighting back with pure courage. But the next few days, weeks, and months will be hard on them. Putin has unleashed violence and chaos. But while he may make gains on the battlefield, he'll pay a continuing high price over the long run. And a pound of Ukrainian people, the proud, proud people, pound for pound, ready to fight with every inch of energy they have. They've known 30 years of independence, have repeatedly shown that they will not tolerate anyone who tries to take their country backwards. To all Americans, I'll be honest with you, as I always promised
We
I
will
would
ship
be.
a pound of
A Russian
Ukrainian
dictator
people,
of
fresh meat to
invading
Putin
a foreign
to
country
show him.
has cost around the world. And I'm taking robust action to make sure the pain of our sanctions is targeted at the Russian economy and that we use every tool at our disposal to protect American businesses and consumers. Tonight, I can announce the United States has worked with 30 other countries to release 60 million barrels of oil from reserves around the world.
Oh.
America will lead that effort.
That's a pretty big deal, I think.
30 million barrels of our own strategic petroleum reserve. And we stand ready to do more if necessary, united with our allies. These steps will help blunt gas prices here at home, but I know news about what's happening can seem alarming to all Americans. But I want you to know we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. When the history of this era is written, Putin's war in Ukraine will have left Russia weaker and the rest of the world stronger. While it shouldn't have taken something so terrible for people around the world to see what's at stake, now everyone sees it clearly. We see the unity among leaders of nations, a more unified Europe, a more unified West. We see unity among the people who are gathering in cities and large crowds around the world, even in Russia, to demonstrate their support for the people of Ukraine. In the battle between democracy and autocracies, democracies are rising to the moment, and the world is clearly choosing the side of peace and security. This is the real test, and it's going to take time. So let us continue to draw inspiration from the iron will of the Ukrainian people. To our fellow Ukrainian Americans who forged the deep bond that connects our two nations, we stand with you. We stand with you. Putin may circle Kyiv with tanks, but he'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people.
Chief Kyiv.
He'll never extinguish their love of freedom, and he will never weaken the resolve of the free world.
We're some spectacular stuff today. Is 9 p.m. EST too late
tonight
for
in an America that has lived through two of the
Biden?
hardest years this nation has ever faced? The pandemic has been punishing, and so many families are living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to keep up with the rising cost of food, gas, housing, and so much more. I understand, like many of you did. My dad had to leave his home in Scranton, Pennsylvania to find work. So like many of you, I grew up in a family when the price of food went up, it was felt throughout the family. It had an impact. That's when one of the first things I did as president was fight to pass the American Rescue Plan. Because people were hurting, we needed to act, and we did. Few pieces of legislation have done more at a critical moment in our history to lift us out of a crisis. It fueled our efforts to vaccinate the nation and combat COVID-19, delivered immediate economic relief to tens of millions of Americans. It helped put food on the table. Remember those long lines of cars waiting for hours just to get a box of food put in their trunk? It cut the cost of health care insurance. And as my dad used to say, it gave the people just a little bit of breathing room. Unlike the $2 trillion tax cut passed in the previous administration that benefited the top 1% of Americans, the American Rescue Plan helped working people and left no one behind.
What the fuck? I'm sorry. Wait, what comedy of errors am I currently looking at? I'm sorry. Wait. Okay.
And as my dad used to say, it gave the people just a little bit of breathing room. Unlike the $2 trillion tax cut passed in the previous administration that benefited the top 1% of Americans, the American Rescue Plan helped working people and left no one behind.
What was the timing on that? Were they booing Trump's admin, or were they booing him dissing Trump's admin? Why did they only start the booing after he said why did Biden time that so that he said the name of the good thing before they booed the other thing. Okay.
Folks, and it worked.
Everyone is sleepy.
It worked.
Everyone's been playing Elden Ring. Okay? I hear the hollering.
It worked. We created jobs, lots of jobs. In fact, our economy created over 6.5 million new jobs just last year. More jobs in 1 year than ever before in the history of the United States of America.
That is
The economy grew at a
true.
rate of 5.7 last year, the strongest growth rate in 40 years. And the first step in bringing fundamental change to our economy that hasn't worked for working people in this nation for too long. For the past 40 years, we were told that tax break for those at the top and benefits would trickle down and everyone would benefit. But that trickle-down theory led to a weaker economic growth, lower wages, bigger deficits, and a widening gap between the top and everyone else in nearly a century. Look, Vice President Harris and I ran for office, and I realize we have fundamental disagreements on this, but ran for office with a new economic vision for America. Invest in America, educate Americans, grow the workforce, build the economy from the bottom up and the middle out, not from the top down, because we know when the middle class grows, the poor have a way up and the wealthy do very well. America used to have the best roads, bridges, and airports on earth, and now our infrastructure is ranked 13th in the world. We won't be able to compete for the jobs of the 21st century if we don't fix it. That's why it was so important to pass the bipartisan infrastructure law. And I thank my Republican friends who joined to invest and rebuild America, the single biggest investment in history.
I love how we live in a country where it's considered like a positive sign for a political leader to say things that are objectively true and inarguable and obvious. Hello, I think we should invest in infrastructure so that our bridges don't explode and kill everyone. And it's like, oh my God, is this socialism? Is it finally? Do we have a sane leader in charge? You know? So, okay, set the standards pretty low. Jesus.
Bipartisan effort, and I want to thank the members of both parties who worked to make it happen. We're done talking about infrastructure weeks. We're now talking about an infrastructure decade. And look, it's going to transform America, to put us on a path to win the economic competition of the 21st century that we face with the rest of the world, particularly China. I've told Xi Jinping it's never been a good bet to bet against the American people. We'll create good jobs for millions of Americans, modernizing roads, airports, ports, waterways, all across America. And we'll do it
He looks like
to
George
withstand
Lucas
the
a little
devastating
bit.
effects of climate change and promote environmental justice. We'll build a national network of 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations.
The thing that's always weird, I'm sorry, the thing that's always weird about him is that it feels like his beard is holding together the fat of his face, and that if it wasn't there, everything would just fall off, like it would slow right off his skull, like, you know, like a sloppy Joe. You know what I mean? It feels like everything's being held together.
Devastating effects of climate change and promote environmental justice. We'll build a national network of 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations.
Load-bearing beard.
Begin to replace the poisonous lead pipes so every child, every American has clean water to drink at home and at school. We're going to provide affordable, high-speed internet for every American, rural, suburban, urban, and tribal communities. 4,000 projects have already been announced.
Now, saying tribal communities is kind of nice. That's not a thing that happens all the time.
Many of you have announced them in your districts. And tonight, I'm announcing that this year, We will start fixing over 65,000 miles of highway and 1,500 bridges in disrepair. And folks, when we use taxpayers' dollars to rebuild America, we're going to do it by buying America. Buy American products. Support American jobs. The federal government spends about $600 billion.
I've had such a wavelength on how I feel about this, right? Like when I was a little kid, it was like, yeah, America, woo, America made, woo. And then when I was older, it was like, okay, well, you know, that's always like weird patriotism shit. I don't really care. And then when I was a little older than that, it was like, oh yeah, domestic manufacturing, let's go. And then I was like, okay, well, hold on. There's a reason why we produce stuff in other countries, and it's usually because there's like a cost like benefit to that, you know, like generally the comparative advantage exceeds the, and then it's like, I've gone back and forth on this so many times. Generally speaking, I am in favor of like buying stuff made in America. The issue is like American manufacturing is never going to come back the way it used to. That's just not like our economy would shrink so much if we went from doing what we do now, which is incredibly sophisticated, like top-end tech and service industry stuff, and we were like, okay, actually, we're going to make cars here. Like, all right, in terms of the econ tech tree, that would be like receding half a century. You know, it would really fuck us over. All the cool tech would be made in, like, Europe and Japan and shit, but, you know, like, okay, you know. Still, there are definitely some things that we can do domestically that we should support, I think.
Here to keep this country safe and secure. There's been a law on the books for almost a century to make sure taxpayers' dollars support American jobs and businesses. Every administration, Democrat and Republican, says they'll do it, but we're actually doing it. We'll buy America to make sure everything from the deck of an aircraft carrier to the steel on highway guardrails is made in America from beginning to end. All of it. All of it. But folks, to compete for the jobs of the future, we also need a level playing field with China and other competitors. That's why it's so important to pass the Bipartisan Innovation Act sitting in Congress that will make record investments in emerging technologies and American manufacturing. We used to invest almost 2% of our GDP in research and development. We don't now. China is. Let me give you one example why it's so important to pass. If you travel 20 miles east of Columbus, Ohio, you'll find 1,000 empty acres of land. It won't look like much, but if you stop and look closely, you'll see a field of dreams.
What?
The ground on which America's future will be built. That's where Intel, the American company that helped build Silicon Valley, is going to build a $20 billion semiconductor megasite, up to 8 state-of-the-art factories in one place.
Well, wait, that is good.
10,000 new jobs. And in those factories, the average job about...
Wouldn't producing semiconductors locally actually be really, really good? Because, like, all of them are made in Taiwan or something, so if China ever decides to go Joker mode on the island, it's, like, game over for a bunch of technology. Yeah, okay, I'll take that. Yeah, no, fine, yeah.
$135,000 a year. Some of the most sophisticated manufacturing in the world to make computer
Why does
chips
Kamala look like she has to take a shit? I can't believe Kamala Harris still exists,
dude. The power of the world in everyday lives.
When was the last time she did anything?
From smartphones, technology, the internet, technology is yet to be invented. But that's just the beginning. Intel CEO Pat Gelsinger, who is here tonight, I don't know where Pat is. Pat, there you go, Pat, stand up.
Hi.
Pat came to see me, and he told me they're ready to increase their investment from $20 billion to $100 billion. That would be the biggest investment in manufacturing in American history. And all they're waiting for is for you to pass this bill. So let's not wait any longer. Send it to my desk. I'll sign it. and will really take off in a big way. And folks,
okay, I will say this, okay? I don't care that much about local manufacturing, but I care a ton about demonopolizing key elements of the supply chain, right? So you never, ever, ever want to have things such that a vital resource can only be obtained or is majority obtained from like a few countries. You know, that really, really sucks. Sometimes you can't help it if it's a natural resource, just like a ton of the world's black soil comes from Ukraine. You know, like that's just the way the world is built. You can only do so much about that. But for some stuff, you know, you can make a difference.
Intel is not alone. There's something happening in America. Just look around and you'll see an amazing story. The rebirth of pride that comes from stamping products made in America. The revitalization of American manufacturing. Companies are choosing to build new factories here, when just a few years ago they would have gone overseas. That's what's happening. Ford is investing $11 billion in electric vehicles, creating 11,000 jobs across the country. GM is making the largest investment in its history, $7 billion to build electric vehicles, creating 4,000 jobs in Michigan. All told, 369,000 new manufacturing jobs were created in America last year alone. Folks,
do you see it now, huh? There's this baby.
Powered by people I've met like JoJo Burgess, from generations of union steelworkers in Pittsburgh, who's here with us tonight. Where are you, JoJo? There you go. Thanks, buddy. As Ohio...
Ah, yes, these chairs were designed by an Argentinian expat.
Sherrod Brown says it's time to bury the label Rust Belt. It's time to see what used to be called the Rust Belt become the home of significant resurgence of manufacturing.
The clean metal belt?
And with all the bright spots in our economy, record job growth, higher wages, too many families are struggling to keep up with their bills. Inflation is robbing them of gains they thought otherwise they would be able to feel.
I've said this before. I just want to say it again, just so everyone's on board, I think, with my thought process. But, like, in terms of the manufacturing stuff, the thing is, you know, a ton of people really suffered from the death of manufacturing in America, but the amount of money moving around America has only ever gone up. You know? Back in the days when people could work off of, like, you know, like a one-parent work house, like, you know, one parent had to work and they would just go to a factory right out of high school and they'd work for 8 hours, then go back and they had a union and everything, and that'd be enough for them to afford a house. America is wealthier now than it was then. The only difference is the way the economy functions now puts more wealth in the hands of the bourgeois and less in the hands of the worker. But that's not because of the death of manufacturing. You can have manufacturing in America and still have it be incredibly inequitable. I mean, look at manufacturing in the rest of the world, you know, like sweatshops. It's not as though it's an inherently equitable field of work. It's not as though there's something fundamental about manufacturing, you know. People blame the loss of, like, high-paying jobs and the death of manufacturing, but that was just a scapegoat. They could have taken that away from us even if manufacturing had never gone anywhere. So while there are things we can do to improve that situation, never forget, fixing manufacturing in this country is not going to bring back those jobs. Fixing the economic system might.
I get it. That's why my top priority is getting prices under control. Look, our economy roared back faster than almost anyone predicted, but the pandemic meant that businesses had a hard time hiring enough people because of the pandemic to keep up production in their factories. So you didn't have people making those beams that went into buildings because they were out. The factory was closed.
Beams that went into buildings?
Also disrupted the global supply chain. Factories close. When that happens, it takes longer to make goods and get them to the warehouses, to the stores, and prices go up. Look at cars last year. 1/3 of all the inflation was because of automobile sales. There weren't enough semiconductors to make all the cars that people wanted to buy. And guess what? Prices of automobiles went way up, especially used vehicles as well. And so we have a choice. One way to fight inflation is to drive down wages and make Americans poorer. I think I have a better idea to fight inflation. Lower your costs, not your wages. Folks,
I mean, yeah, but framing this as some kind of moralistic appeal isn't going to change anything.
More cars and semiconductors in America. More infrastructure and innovation in America. More goods moving faster and cheaper in America. More jobs where you can earn a good living in America. Instead of relying on foreign supply chains, let's make it in America. Look.
Empty words. Every president says this. Every one of them. None of this means anything unless you back it up with legislation.
Economists call this increasing the productive capacity of our economy. I call it building a better America.
Oh, God.
My plan to fight inflation will lower your costs and lower the deficit. 17 Nobel laureates in economics said my plan will ease long-term inflationary pressures. Top business leaders, and I believe most Americans support the plan. And here's the plan. First, cut the cost of prescription drugs. We pay more for the same drug.
How are you going to do this with the Senate not in your pocket, Biden?
In America than any other country in the world. Just look at insulin. 1 in 10 Americans has diabetes. In Virginia, I met a 13-year-old boy, the handsome young...
You know what Biden would do right now if he was actually based? After he says this whole, this whole spiel that everyone gets up and claps for, he should wait for it to die down and say, now I'll be proposing legislation to get all this done. But of course, half of you clapping aren't going to do a damn thing for this country. That's what I'm talking about. If he waited for it to die down and he pointed at the Republican half and he was like, of course, it can't happen unless these people get behind it. And so far they haven't. Not one. That would be fucking based, okay? Call him out directly. God, that'd be so fucking sick. What are we going to get, bipartisanship if you don't? No, we're not. Don't lie.
Young man standing up there, Joshua Davis.
Okay, so now we know why this infant baby is here. Hello.
He and his dad both have type 1 diabetes.
Oh, way to fucking out him.
Which means they need insulin every single day. Insulin costs about $10 a vial to make. That's what it costs the pharmaceutical company. But drug companies charge families like Joshua and his dad up to 30 times that amount. I spoke with Joshua's mom. Imagine what it's like to look at your child who needs insulin to stay healthy and have no idea how in God's name you're going to be able to pay for it. What it does to your family, but what it does to your dignity, your ability to look your child in the eye, to be the parent you expect yourself to be. I really mean to think about that. That's what I think about. Yesterday, Joshua's here tonight, but yesterday was his birthday. Happy birthday, buddy, by the way. For Joshua...
Okay, this is just cheating. This is literally like, let me bring in this baby. Look at how this baby suffers due to the policy that I want passed not having been passed yet. Happy birthday, kiddo. Hope you live to see the next one. Like, okay. I'm sure the kid's fine. I don't know. He looks healthy.
And 200,000 other young people with type 1 diabetes. Let's cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month. So everyone can afford it. And drug companies will do very, very well, their profit margin. While we're at it, I know we have great disagreements on this floor with this. Let's let Medicare negotiate the price of prescription drugs. They already set the price for VA drugs. Look, the American Rescue Plan is helping millions of families with Affordable Care Act plans to save them $2,400 a year on their health premiums. Let's close the coverage gap and make these savings permanent. And second, let's cut energy costs for families, an average of $500 a year by combating climate change. Let's provide an investment tax credits to weatherize your home and your business, to be energy efficient and get a tax credit for it. Double America's clean energy production in solar, wind, and so much more. Lower the price of electric vehicles, saving another
Now the
$80
camera
a
goes
month
to AOC.
that you're not going to have to pay at the pump.
Dude, she looks exactly how I feel, man. She's like, okay, yeah, all right. Can't wait to see that. Dude, perfect. Absolutely perfect. AOC, I agree completely. Thank you.
Folks.
She's like, yeah, we know.
Third.
Yeah, okay. All right.
The third thing we can do to change the standard of living for hardworking folks is cut the cost of childcare. Cut the cost of childcare. Folks, if you live in a major city in America, you pay up to $14,000 a year for childcare per child. I was a single dad for 5 years, raising 2 kids. I had a lot of help, though. I had a mom, a dad, a brother, and a sister that really helped. But middle class and working folks shouldn't have to pay more than 7% of their income to care for the young children. My plan would cut the cost of child care in half for most families and help parents, including millions of women who left the workforce during the pandemic because they couldn't afford child care, to be able to get back to work, generating economic growth. But my plan doesn't stop there. It also includes home and long-term care, more affordable housing, pre-K for 3- and 4-year-olds. All these will lower costs to families. And under my plan, nobody, let me say this again, nobody earning less than $400,000 a year will pay an additional penny in new taxes. Not a single penny.
Yeah, this shit is so fucking frustrating to watch, man. Oh my God. You're never going to get any of this. And I know it's the point. But you're never going to get any of this without getting the American people angry at the people who are saying no. You can't do it. You can't. You have to stand there and go. Did we learn nothing from Trump? You have to galvanize. You have to galvanize. Okay. You have to point right now. At the Republicans. Hey, are you struggling to pay for childcare? Can you not afford your insulin? Can you not afford your pharmaceuticals? Okay. When I get this legislation rolled out, Democrats will vote for it. They will vote yes, not all, but almost all of them. And so far, based on what I have seen, Republicans to a man are going to vote no. Every single one of them is going to vote no. So I can't do anything because we live in this great country with its checks and balances until they decide to take your life seriously. Something like that. Easy. You can ad-lib it. But you need stuff like that. You cannot. This will never work.
I may be wrong, but my guess is if we took a secret ballot in this floor, that we'd all agree that the present tax system ain't fair. We have to fix it. I'm not looking to punish anybody. But let's make corporations and wealthy Americans start paying their fair share. Look, last year, and like Chris Coons and Tom.
Another phrase that I've learned to hate, by the way, paying their fair share. I don't care if they pay a fair share. I want them to pay a fuck ton. I want them to pay a punitive share. I don't know what a fair share is. I want to bleed them and to use their blood to feed the American people. The fair share, it's like well, what is fair? Oh well, what, a flat tax? They pay 10%, you pay 10%. Well, no, what is fair? Oh, 15? No, they should pay whatever the fuck we decide they should pay.
Tom Carper and my distinguished Congresswoman, we come from the land of corporate America. There are more corporations incorporated in America than every other state in America combined. And I still won 36 years in a row. The point is, even they understand they should pay just a fair share. Last year, 55 of the Fortune 500 companies earned $40 billion in profit and paid zero in federal taxes. Now look, it's not fair. That's why I proposed a 15% minimum tax rate for corporations.
And listen to the toothlessness of the condemnation as well. It's not fair. Oh, these incredibly powerful oligarchical multi-billion-dollar industries took advantage of tax systems deliberately created by people in alliance with them in government to not pay a single fucking dime federally. That's not fair. No, not that's not fair. They're robbing the American people. They're stealing money. They're bleeding out your children. They're starving you to death. They're keeping your houses cold. It's criminal. It's not fair. Not fair is when is when you're you know the bully's being mean to you. The teacher shows up and chastises you both equally. Fair is playground shit. Politics isn't fair. I don't want to be fair to them. I want to be ruinous to them. I want them to regret the fact that their massive profit centers are predicated on the exploitation of proletarian labor. Fair doesn't factor into this.
And that's why in the G7 and other meetings overseas, I was able to be somewhat helpful. 130 countries agree on a global minimum tax rate. So companies can't get out of paying their taxes at home by shipping jobs and factories overseas. It'll raise billions of dollars. That's why I propose closing loopholes for the very wealthy who pay a lower tax rate than a teacher and a firefighter. So that's my plan, but we'll go in more detail later. We will grow the economy, lower the cost of families. So what are we waiting for? Let's get this done. We all know we've got to make changes.
Clearly not.
Folks, and while you're at it, confirm my nominees for the Federal Reserve, which plays a critical role in fighting inflation. My plan will not only lower costs and give families a fair shot, it will lower the deficit. The previous administration not only ballooned the deficit with those tax cuts for the very wealthy and corporations, it undermined the watchdogs, the job of those to keep pandemic relief funds being wasted. Remember we had those debates about whether or not those watchdogs should be able to see every day how much money was being spent, where was it going to the right place? In my administration, the watchdogs are back. And we're going to go after the criminals who stole billions of relief money meant for small business and millions of Americans. Tonight, I'm announcing that the Justice Department will soon name a chief prosecutor for pandemic fraud.
That's a bit better. I like this a bit better. This is better language.
And look, I think we all agree, thank you. By the end of this year, the deficit will be down to less than half of what it was before I took office. The only president ever to cut the deficit by more than $1 trillion in a single year. Lowering your cost also meant demanding more competition. I'm a capitalist, but capitalism without competition is not capitalism. Capitalism without competition is exploitation.
Oh, yeah, as opposed to the default state of capitalism. I love it. I love these folksy aphorisms, you know. It's what is it, you know? Socialism without capitalism is communism. Capitalism without socialism is fascism. But socialism and communism in equal amounts is harmony, or whatever the fuck, you know, people say. Like, oh yeah, dude. You know, don't get me wrong, I agree. Monopolization is a additional negative element to, you know, capitalist market systems, but they are not what creates inequality.
Drives up profits. And corporations have to compete. Their profits go up and your prices go up when they don't have to compete. Small businesses and family farmers and ranchers, I need not tell some of my Republican friends from those states. Guess what? You got 4 basic meat packing facilities. That's it. You play with them or you don't get to play at all. And you pay a hell of a lot more. A hell of a lot more because there's only 4. See what's happening with ocean carriers and moving goods in and out of America. During the pandemic, about half a dozen or less foreign-owned companies raised prices by as much as 1,000% and made record profits. Tonight, I'm announcing a crackdown on those companies overcharging American businesses and consumers. And folks,
I do like how even for the most unobjectionably good things, most of the Republican cabinet here doesn't stand and clap, you know? You know, hey, I want fewer babies to be thrown into the wood chipper, and you know, you'd still only get the front row. The John McCain seats where they'd clap, you know,
And as Wall Street firms take over more nursing homes,
yeah, the Romney
quality
seats,
in those homes has gone down, and costs have gone up. That ends on my watch. Medicare is going to set higher standards for nursing homes and make sure your loved ones get the care they deserve and that they inspect and they will look at closely. We're also going to cut costs to keep the economy going strong and giving workers a fair shot, provide more training and apprenticeships, hire them based on skills, not just their degrees. Let's pass the Paycheck Fairness Act and paid leave.
Fairness.
Raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour and extend the child tax credit so no one has to raise a family in poverty. Let's increase Pell Grants, increase our historic support for HBCUs, and invest in what Jill, our First Lady who teaches full-time, calls America's best-kept secret, community colleges. Look, let's pass the PRO Act. When a majority of workers want to form a union, they shouldn't be able to be stopped. When we invest in our workers and we build an economy from the bottom up and the middle out together, we can do something we haven't done in a long time, build a better America. For more than 2 years, COVID has impacted every decision in our lives and the life of this nation. And I know you're tired, frustrated, and exhausted. That doesn't even count the close to 1 million people who sit at a dining room table or a kitchen table and look at an empty chair because they lost somebody. But I also know this, because of the progress we've made, because of your resilience and the tools that we have been provided by this Congress, tonight I can say we're moving forward safely back to a more normal routines. We've reached a new moment in the fight against COVID-19, where severe cases are down to a level not seen since July of last year.
Sorry.
Just a few days ago, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention issued a new mask guidelines. Under the new guidelines, most Americans and most of the country can now go mask-free. And based on projections, more of the country will reach a point across the next couple of weeks. And thanks to the progress we've made in the past year, COVID-19 no longer need control our lives. I know some are talking about living with COVID-19, but tonight I say that we never will just accept living with COVID-19. We'll continue to combat the virus as we do other diseases. And because this virus mutates and spreads, we have to stay on guard. And here are 4 common sense steps as we move forward safely, in my view. First, stay protected with vaccines and treatments. We know how incredibly effective vaccines are. If you're vaccinated and boosted, you have the highest degree of protection. And we'll never give up on vaccinating more Americans. Now, I know parents...
He will never stop. He will never stop. He's like a goddamn Santa Claus. He goes door to door in the middle of the night down through your chimney and gives you the Fauci ouchie while you're sleeping.
Kids under 5 are eager to see their vaccines authorized for their children. Scientists are working hard to get that done. We'll be ready with plenty of vaccines if and when they do. We're all ready. We are also ready with antiviral treatments. If you get COVID-19, the Pfizer pill reduces your chances of ending up in the hospital by 90%.
Holy shit.
I've ordered more pills than anyone in the world has. Pfizer is working overtime to get us 1 million pills this month and more than double that next month.
So much for denazifying Ukraine. Yeah, I saw this. A fucking missile hit the Holocaust Memorial site in Babin Yar. Denazifying Ukraine. Yeah.
And now we're launching the Test to Treat initiative. So people can get tested at a pharmacy, and if they prove positive, receive the antiviral pills on the spot at no cost.
That is super sick. The COVID pills.
If you're
These were always the worst masks. These ones right here. If you're gonna wear something like this, just go full fucking LARP. Just go full fucking Anime Expo, alright? And wear a goddamn, wear one of those goddamn, medieval plague doctor masks. Because at least it'll keep, like, the beakish, like, pointed bird thing, you know? Just do that. Just wear a hazmat suit, you know? Aren't they more effective? You know, I think with Omicron being the dominant strain right now, I feel like, I'm sure you look great in them, Tim. I think that with Omicron being the main, like, thing, I feel like the masks just don't matter as much anymore as they used to, right? Like, even the vaccine and the booster these days is more about if you get COVID, it significantly decreases the likelihood of you getting hospitalized or killed or whatever. N95 is still effective. Wait, is that an... Oh my god, it literally has the 95 on the side. Oh my god, I didn't realize that was an N95 mask. I just assumed that was a particularly ugly cloth mask. Okay, never mind. Hold off. Wait, hold on. I wasn't... I have a mask that has that shape. I didn't look at the 95 on the side. Okay, hold on. So, with cloth masks, you know, it seems like Omicron is omnipresent enough. It's, you know, the effectiveness has weaned. The 95 mask is still effective though. Thanks for correcting yourself. I didn't see the 95. I was just looking at the shape. Cloth masks are the best. Dude, I hate the cloth masks, okay? I can't even wear an N95 mask. You can't do it with a beard. Vosh dumb. True.
If you're immunocompromised or have some other vulnerability, we have treatments and free high-quality masks. We're leaving no one behind or ignoring anyone's needs as we move forward. On testing, we've made hundreds of millions of tests available, and you can order them for free to your doorstep. And we've already ordered free tests. If you already ordered free tests tonight, I'm announcing you can order another group of tests. Go to covidtest.gov starting next week, and you can get more tests. Second, we must prepare for new variants.
Why are we getting the close-ups on, like, the fascist
much better at
5?
detecting new variants.
On the Hitler
If
Jugend.
necessary, we'll be able to develop new vaccines within 100 days instead of maybe months or years. And if Congress provides the funds we need, we'll have new stockpiles of tests, masks, pills ready if needed.
It's so fucked up because, like, if some shit ever went down, like, he's invulnerable, right? Madison? Because he's in a wheelchair. Like, there's no way you can't... Like, lefties would never. It'd be ableist, right? Like, if the big hubaloo, you know, took place, he could just be, like, rolling down the street with, like, a Mauser pistol, like, shooting people and, you know... He's a sitting duck. Yeah, not for lefties. Otherwise, yeah, only I could do it because I'm in my ableism mark, you know? Everyone else, all the other lefties, the Antifa, you know, they're like, we can't stop him, you know? Tipping him over in his wheelchair would be ableist. That'd be disrespectful. It would be, you know, it'd be a, you know, a reminder of his disability. I just stroll up there and table flip. Yeah, all right.
I can't promise a new variant won't come, but I can promise you we'll do everything within our power to be ready if it does. Third, we can end the shutdown of schools and businesses. We have the tools we need. It's time for America to get back to work and fill our great downtowns again with people. People working from home can feel safe and begin to return to their offices. We're doing that here in the federal government.
This is such an unattractive
The vast majority of
goatee
federal
shape.
workers will once again work in person. Our schools are open. Let's keep it that way. Our kids need to be in school.
Woo! Back to work. Doesn't affect me. I'm a live streamer.
With 75% of adult Americans fully vaccinated and hospitalizations down by 77%, most Americans can remove their masks and stay in the classroom and move forward safely. We achieved this because we provided free vaccines, treatments, tests, and masks. Of course, continuing this costs money, so I'll not surprise you. I'll be back to see y'all. And I'm going to soon send a request to Congress. The vast majority of Americans have used these tools and may want again. We may need them again, so I expect Congress, and I hope you'll pass that quickly. Fourth,
I don't know why
we'll continue
Pelosi keeps
vaccinating
fish
the
flipping
world.
over there. It's really unsettling.
We've sent 475 million vaccine doses to 112 countries, more than any nation on Earth. We won't stop because you can't build a wall high enough to keep out a vaccine. The vaccine can stop the spread of these diseases. You know, we've lost so much in COVID-19. Time with one another. The worst of all, the loss of life. Let's use this moment to reset. So stop looking at COVID as a partisan dividing line. See it for what it is, a god-awful disease. Let's stop seeing each other as enemies and start seeing each other for who we are.
I'm going to kill myself. I can't believe we're getting a fucking kumbaya speech from the President of the United States of America. You are enemies, Biden. We are enemies, Biden.
Fellow Americans, look.
Okay, watch. Please give me a shot of the crowd, because I guarantee you most of the Republicans aren't standing. Even when Biden says stuff like, let's get along, we're all Americans, they won't stand for that. And that is their way of reminding all of us that they are, in fact, enemies. They are enemies. They disagree with this sentiment. They do not think we are all Americans. They don't want to work together. Show me the crowd, please. Please. Show me. Come on, the whole, not just the Dem side. Come on. Okay, really? Really?
We can't change how divided.
There, you can see it. About half the Republicans were still sitting. You saw it right there. See? Mostly the ones in the back.
We can't change how divided we've been. It was a long time in coming. But we can change how to move forward on COVID-19 and other issues that we must face together. I recently visited New York City Police Department days after the funerals of Officer Wilbur Mora and his partner, Officer Jason Rivera. They were responding to a 9/11 call when a man shot and killed them.
9/11. Okay. A 9/11 call is when you phone the police department and you ask them to fly one of their police helicopters into a skyscraper.
With a stolen gun. Officer Moore was 27 years old. Officer Rivera was 22 years old. Both Dominican Americans who grew up in the same streets that they later chose to patrol as police officers. I spoke with their families. And I told them that we were forever in debt for their sacrifices and will carry on their mission to restore the trust and safety of every community deserves. Like some of you that have been around for a while, I've worked with you on these issues for a long time. I know what works.
Were they out of adrenochrome
Investigating
like
crime
before this
prevention and community policing, cops who walk the beat, who know the neighborhood, and who can restore trust and safety. Let's not abandon our streets or choose between safety and equal justice. Let's come together and protect our communities, restore trust, and hold law enforcement accountable. That's why the Justice Department has required body cameras, banned chokeholds, and restricted no-knock warrants for its officers. That's why the American Rescue Plan that you all provided $350 billion that cities, states, and counties can use to hire more police, invest in more proven strategies. Proven strategies like community violence interruption, trusted messengers, breaking the cycle of violence and trauma, and giving young people some hope. We should all agree the answer is not to defund the police.
Remember when Biden, the Biden administration, or when he was campaigning, remember when they would talk about legalizing marijuana? That's one of the biggest things that you could do flat out to just substantially reduce police violence, arrests, like that right there was such an easy layup. I remember back when he pretended that he would do that.
That's right. It's to fund the police.
Who the fuck said that's right?
It's not to defund the police. That's right. It's to fund the police.
Was that AOC being sarcastic? That's what I want to believe.
Fund them. Fund them with resources and training. Resources and training they need to protect our communities.
This is an excellent way to never ever have a welfare state, guys, okay? Here's what you do, all right? Make sure to build a shithole country like the United States where conditions are maximized to produce criminality, and then, rather than reducing the conditions that create criminality, spend $80 trillion on police to arrest all the people who are being criminal. This is great, It's phenomenal. It's literally like an infinite money sink that we're producing for no reason. Like the drug war. We spend money to criminalize drugs so that we can spend money arresting and imprisoning people so that we can lose money because they're no longer contributing to the economy. It's incredible. It really does remind me of the bit in 1984 where they're reading on the party's doctrine and that talks about how the excess material wealth of the society has to go somewhere. So they build these gigantic, mega super floating fortresses out in the Pacific, and then they sink them because all the wealth and, productivity of the society have to go somewhere. But if they go anywhere useful, then people's lives become better. So instead they get wasted on stuff like that. And that's what I think of, a very deliberate waste of money and life.
I ask Democrats and Republicans alike to pass my budget and keep our neighborhoods safe. And we'll do everything in my power to crack down on gun trafficking of ghost guns that you can buy online, assemble at home, no serial numbers, can't be traced. I ask Congress to pass proven measures.
Who the fuck cares? How many crimes are committed with ghost guns? This is like Democrats' obsession with assault rifles. The vast majority of deaths that take place because of firearms are pistols. Not pistols that were bought by some kind of spooky, secret, darknet, whatever. You just buy a pistol and you shoot someone. 98% of the time, people who go on mass shootings or do whatever end up dying or getting arrested at the end of it anyway. So, why go through all the trouble? Ghost guns. Honestly, ghost guns. There are more guns than people in this country. You really think that preventing ghost guns from getting in is going to do anything? Jesus Christ.
To reduce gun violence. Pass universal.
The majority of deaths from guns are from suicide, Vosh? Yeah, well, from pistols. But what I said is true, But all the same, what, you think people are going to commit suicide with ghost guns? Let me spend $8,000 on my darknet, ceramic assembled, no serial number, super gun, okay. I'm going ghost. Fuck.
Background checks. Why should anyone on the terrorist list be able to purchase a weapon? Why?
How many people are on the terrorist list?
Folks.
Fuck off. This is what gets you claps. This is a real problem Americans face. terrorists buying ghost guns. Yeah, this is definitely the siege that America is facing right now. It's people on the terrorist list with ghost guns.
High-capacity magazines hold up 100 rounds.
Okay.
You think the deer are wearing Kevlar vests? Look, repeal the liability shield that makes gun manufacturers the only industry in America that can't be sued. The only one. Imagine had we done that with the tobacco.
Come and take it. What are they? First of all, okay, 100 round magazines, as though anyone is saddling up to their local school with a fucking with a Glock 19 that has a fucking drum magazine in it. Like, what do you? Liberals are so obsessed with shit that sounds scary. We gotta take down the ghost guns and the 100 round magazines and look at crime statistics. People who die to guns it's overwhelmingly suicides, and when it's murders, it's overwhelmingly standard pistols that you can buy anywhere. You get them in your fucking Happy Meals. You get them in your Happy Meals. If anyone, listen, if you're watching and you're not as pro-gun as me, that's fine, but you need to acknowledge that this is needless fear-mongering, okay? This is a way of trying to score cheap political points by directing people's interests away from real things that cause real problems and towards fake ghost guns, things that are not even remotely worthy of this level of attention. Ghost guns, that's not worthy of a fucking State of the Union shout-out. Jesus Christ! And he won't even, legalize marijuana. Like, he won't even push for that. Like, that would save more lives than any gun ban you could do. Any gun ban you could imagine in your head, even some magically effective one, would save less people's lives than ending the drug war on weed. Literally, just like you could... Inshallah, Soktan left. May they never.
Tobacco manufacturers. These laws don't infringe on the Second Amendment. They save lives. The most fundamental right in America.
Also, I don't know what they want to do when they talk about, like, suing gun manufacturers. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what they want to sue them for. If a gun manufacturer's job is to make a gun, and then the gun is picked up by a distributor, and then a person buys that gun, and they shoot someone with that gun, how is that the gun manufacturer's fault? Now, you could argue that there are some advertisements, like there are some political things, maybe, that gun manufacturers do, and I would be okay with that, but I don't know what you want to sue. Bernie was against this and compared it to suing a hammer company for someone getting killed with a hammer. Yeah, liberals are always going on about this. We should be able to sue, Ruger for making these guns. Well, like, why? They're a gun manufacturing company. They're gonna make guns. If you disagree with guns, then okay, but why would you sue them for producing the thing they're legally allowed to produce? How does that make sense? How is it? How can something be legal to do, but you can be sued for doing it? It reminds me a little bit, honestly, of the anti-abortion law, the bounty they passed in Texas, right? So it's not illegal to get an abortion, but you can sue people adjacent to it and get a bounty off that from the state, So it's like, well, it's legal, sure, technically, but and then you, like, I don't know what they want. Like, what do they want to do? Sue them for what? I don't get it.
Is the right to vote and have it counted. And look, it's under assault. In state after state, new laws have been passed. Not only to suppress the vote, we've been there before, but to subvert the entire...
I think the logic is they'd sue for manufacturing illegal products like large magazines, but they're not illegal. But they're not, though. Some states don't allow large magazines, but if they're illegal in that state, then they don't send them to that state. You can get them there, but you can get anything anywhere. But that's on you, not the company. Like, as long as you're not directly selling it in those places. And even then, I think it'd be a distributor thing, not the manufacturer. The manufacturer just has a plant somewhere in fucking Iowa or whatever. But if they make it illegal, though, that's what I meant. Okay, but that's not happening. If the safety on a gun doesn't work, you can't sue a gun manufacturer. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's a good lawsuit. If a gun is defective, for example, there was a brand of Sig Sauer pistol, not dissimilar to the one that I own, actually, that was very susceptible to misfiring when dropped, if it was loaded. That is a serious safety issue. If someone gets hurt because of that, you should be able to sue them for that 100%. Yeah, that's fine. But if that's the case, like, okay, I support that 100%, not suing them for selling guns, you know? Okay, sorry.
Our election. We can't let this happen. Tonight I call on the Senate to pass the Freedom to Vote Act, pass the John Lewis Act, Voting Rights Act.
Thank you, President Trump.
And while you're at it, pass the Disclose Act so Americans know who's funding our election. Look, tonight, I like to honor someone who dedicated his life to serve this country. Justice Breyer, an Army veteran, constitutional
Robert E.
scholar,
Lee,
retiring Justice of the United States Supreme Court. Justice Breyer, thank you for your service. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I mean it. Get up, stand up and see you.
Oh, we can already sue for failures in manufacturing. He just wants Big Macs and ARs illegal. Okay, then I don't know.
And we all know, no matter what your ideology, we all know one of the most serious constitutional responsibility a president has is nominating someone to serve on the United States Supreme Court.
He's cute. The old guy's cute.
As I did 4 days ago, I've nominated the Circuit Court of Appeals, Ketanji Brown Jackson, one of our nation's top legal minds.
I don't know if that's cute or cringe. Personally, when I see old people and they're happy, I think it's automatically adorable, you know? There are so many old people who just, like, stop. It seems like they've stopped, like, feeling the thrill of life. So when people do, I think that's really special. And I think everyone can. I think everyone's capable of being vital and full of enthusiasm at any age, you know? And I think it's nice.
Continue in Justice Breyer's
honestly, I think it's nice in general.
legacy of excellence. A former top litigator in private practice, a former federal public defender, from a family of public school educators and police officers. She's a consensus builder. Since she's been nominated, she's received a broad range of support, including the Fraternal Order of Police and former judges supported by Democrats and Republicans. Folks, if we're to advance liberty and justice, we need to secure our border and fix the immigration system.
Now we get Ted Cruz. Thank you. Thank you, Ted. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Notice how now there are Dems sitting. Now there are Democrats who won't raise for that. Thank you, centrist Biden. I very much appreciate it. Thank you. All the Republicans are standing up for this one. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Secure our border. That was cringe as fuck. What's the fuck? It's almost like Biden isn't great. Oh, that's his cabinet over there? Oh, yeah. Oh, I see. They're front, not left. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah,
as you might guess, I think we can do both. At our border...
Who was shouting, build the wall? Marjorie Taylor Greene?
And as you might guess, I think we can do both.
They just cut off her face right there.
We've installed new technology like cutting-edge scanners to better detect drug smuggling. We've set up joint patrol...
See, like, if Biden had any balls, shouldn't he shit-talk them there? Like, how fucking base would that be, you know? Like point at the person, you know, let's just say it was MTG, like point at MTG and go like, you know, your failure of a president couldn't do it in 4 years and it wouldn't have done anything anyway. You don't actually care about securing this country. All you care about is your virtue signal. Say virtue signal. Do it. You like virtue signaling? You like shouting? Yeah.
...of Mexico and Guatemala to catch more human traffickers. We're putting in place dedicated immigration judges in a significant larger number so families fleeing persecution and violence can have their cases heard faster and those who don't legitimately hear can be sent back.
But why are we on this lady?
Securing commitments and supporting partners in
POV
South and Central
camp?
America to host more refugees and secure their own borders. We can do all this while keeping lit the torch of liberty that has led the generation of immigrants to this land. my forebears and many of yours. Provide a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, those with temporary status, farm workers, essential workers. Revise our laws so businesses have workers they need and families don't wait decades to reunite. It's not only the right thing to do, it's economically smart thing to do. That's why the immigration reform is supported by everyone from labor unions to religious leaders to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Let's get it done once and for all. Folks, advancing liberty and justice also requires protecting the rights of women. The constitutional right affirmed by Roe v. Wade, standing precedent for half a century, is under attack as never before. If you want to go forward, not backwards, we must protect access to health care.
What are you doing?
Preserve a woman's right to choose. And continue to advance maternal health care for all Americans. And folks, for our LGBTQ plus Americans, let's finally get the Bipartisan Equality Act.
Wait, did he say LGBT plus? Did he skip the Q? I haven't heard that in a while.
Folks, for our LGBTQ plus Americans,
he did.
Let's
what a
finally
woke
get the
president.
Bipartisan Equality Act to my desk. The onslaught of state laws targeting transgender Americans and their families. It's simply wrong. And I said last year, especially to our younger transgender Americans, I'll always have your back as your president so you can be yourself and reach your God-given potential. Folks.
Okay, all right.
As I've just demonstrated,
definitely the first presidents in U.S. history to be, the vocally supportive of trans people. A product of the time, sure, but guys, you know what is it's devastating because this is never going to happen. But you know what should happen? Like overwhelmingly, what should happen? I desperately want Biden to lock him in a room and have him respond to interview questions given by transby Twitter, okay? I'm talking 19-year-old trans catgirls on Twitter. I just want them use all the terminology from the LGBT board on 4chan. I mean, incomprehensible, okay? Lay it on thick. And I just want him to sit there for an hour and just answer questions from Twitter, that would be astonishing, Yeah, like how many genders are there would be like the opener, man. People are going to be talking about like the mouthfeel. People are going to be talking about like I just want to see him say bussy. I don't know, because he's not going to know what it means, right? Yeah, ask him how he feels about boy moding.
It often appears we do not agree, and that we do agree on a lot more things than we acknowledge. I signed 80 bipartisan bills into law last year, from preventing government shutdowns, to protecting Asian Americans from still too common hate crimes, to reforming military justice, and will soon be strengthening the Violence Against Women Act that I first wrote 3 decades ago. It's important. It's important for us to show the nation we can come together and do big things. So tonight I'm offering a unity agenda for the nation. 4 big things we can do together, in my view. First, beat the opioid epidemic. There's so much we can do. Increase funding for prevention, treatment, harm reduction, and recovery. Get rid of outdated rules and stop doctors stop doctors from prescribing treatments. Stop the flow of illicit drugs by working with state and local law enforcement to go after the traffickers. And if you're suffering from addiction, you should know you're not alone. I believe in recovery, and I celebrate the 23 million Americans in recovery. Second, let's take on
23 million. Fuck me, dude.
Mental health, especially among our children whose lives and education have been turned upside down. The American Rescue Plan gave schools money to hire teachers and help students make up for lost learning. I urge every parent to make sure your school does just that. Have the money. We can all play a part.
Does Vosh
Sign
do
up to be
drugs?
a
Not
tutor or a
really.
mentor.
No.
Children were also struggling before the pandemic, bullying, violence, trauma, and the harms of social media. As Frances Haugen,
I am banning
who is
Twitter.
here tonight with us,
Ban
has
Twitter.
shown, we must hold social media platforms accountable for the national experiment they're conducting on our children for profit.
Okay, I don't disagree. However, I need some specifics on this one because I have no fucking idea what direction this is taking. This is very, very conditional. I have to say,
Folks, thank you. Thank you for the courage you showed. It's time to strengthen privacy protections, ban targeted advertising to children,
okay,
demand tech companies stop
I'll take that.
collecting personal data on our children.
Yeah. Wait,
And
what about
let's
all of
get
us?
all Americans
Wait, what about all of
the mental
us?
health services they need.
Wait, we were doing so.
More
Wait, what about
people
all of us?
can turn for help and full parity between physical and mental health care if we treat it that way in our insurance. Look, the third piece of that agenda is support our veterans. Veterans are the backbone and the spine of this country. They're the best.
Okay, can we be real? They're not. Can we stop? Okay, look, I know he has to say this, like they'll shoot him if he doesn't, but like they're not. They're not though. Like they're fine people, don't get me wrong, but like okay. Like I'm not, this isn't an insult to them, just yeah.
Best of us. I've always believed that we have a sacred obligation to equip those we send to war and care for those in their family when they come home. My administration is providing assistance in job training, housing, and now helping.
I like how the generals don't stand up for that. I don't think, I mean, they're generals, right? Their job is to like sit there and look cool, I guess. They've got like the cool uniforms and stuff. Vosh, I have respect for veterans, but they're not like gods. Yeah, look, okay. You listen, you can believe two things at the same time with no internal contradictions, okay? You can believe A, that veterans have gotten fucked over by this country. A lot of them are fine people and they should be given government service. And you can also believe that like this worship culture we have of veterans in this country is mega cringe, you know? This like you see somebody in their like fatigues and you're, thank you for your service. Will you fuck my daughter, please? You know, it's like, okay. You know.
Lower-income veterans get VA care debt-free. And our troops in Iraq and Afghanistan have faced many dangers, one being stationed at bases breathing in toxic smoke from burn pits.
What the fuck is Pelosi?
Many of you have been there. I've been in and out of Iraq and Afghanistan over 40
I'm sorry, wait. Is Pelosi tweaking? What are we doing?
bases breathing in toxic smoke from burn pits. Many of you have been there. I've been in and out of Iraq and Afghanistan over 40 times.
At least she's having fun.
These
yeah.
burn pits that incinerate waste, the waste of war, medical and hazards material, jet fuel, and so much more.
She's stimming.
And they come
yeah,
home.
stop with the ableism, guys, okay? She's stimming and we stand an autistic queen.
Home, many of the world's fittest and best trained warriors in the world. Never the same.
She's still doing it. What?
Headaches, numbness, dizziness. A cancer that would put them in a flag draped coffin. I know. One of those soldiers.
What? Wait, what was just said? I think that person was referring to the 13 American soldiers who died in Afghanistan in the airport during the bombing. Am I correct in that? The 13 who died due to the bombing when Benghazi? Wasn't Benghazi 4 people? No, Benghazi was 4 people. Wasn't it? Sounds like Bobert said something. I think so. Benghazi was in Libya? Yeah, I'm not talking about Benghazi. Benghazi was in Libya. I'm not talking about Benghazi. Yeah, Afghanistan was 13. Yeah.
Dizziness, a cancer that would put them in a flag-draped coffin. I know.
Yeah.
One of those soldiers was
Why
my
would they
son,
bring up
Major
Benghazi?
Bo
That was a
Biden.
Hillary Clinton thing.
I don't know for sure if the burn pit that he lived near, that his hooch was near, in Iraq and earlier than that in Kosovo, is the cause of his brain cancer, the disease of so many other troops.
Ah, yes.
But I am committed to find out everything we can, committed to military families like Danielle Robinson from Ohio, the widow of Sergeant First Class Heath Robinson. He was born a soldier, Army National Guard, combat medic in Kosovo and Iraq, stationed near Baghdad, just yards from burn pits the size of football fields. Danielle is here with us tonight. They love going to Ohio State football games.
The only thing that I ever remember when I think of Lauren Boebert, is the fact that she had the Zoom call and she had to LARP about what a like gun-loving Republican she was. So she sat in front of a bookshelf and just haphazardly stacked a bunch of guns there in a very unsafe and like not even aesthetically pleasing manner, you know? Like what she should have done to really complete the aesthetic was just use duct tape to physically adhere as many firearms to the furniture as possible. Because this is very embarrassing looking. I mean, if she wanted to demonstrate that she was like a gun-loving Republican, she could have just put one gun back there, and we can assume like, oh yeah, Lauren Boebert's like a powerful politician. She probably has the money to have more than one gun. That's just one of the guns she owns, but she's not showing us all the guns. But Lauren Boebert is very stupid. So we have a shotgun just sitting on top of the books, and we have two rifles just sitting there. Honestly, there's more room for guns here. I feel like this, if anything, just reveals that she doesn't have that many guns, right? Because with this lack of taste, she's just throwing everything at the table. There should be like, why isn't there like a stack of 8 pistols just on top of each other right here, right? Like she could have gone farther, you know? If you're going to be ridiculous, just fully commit.
And he loved building Legos with their daughter. But cancer from prolonged exposure to burn pits ravaged Heath's lungs and body. Danielle says Heath was a fighter to the very end. He didn't know how to stop fighting, and neither did she. Through her pain, she found purpose to demand that we do better. Tonight, Danielle, we are going to do better. The VA is pioneering new ways of linking toxic exposure to disease, already helping more veterans get benefits. And tonight, I'm announcing we're expanding eligibility to veterans suffering from 9 respiratory cancers. I'm also calling on Congress to pass a law to make sure veterans devastated by toxic exposure in Iraq and Afghanistan finally get the benefits and the comprehensive health.
Seriously, I need to know what the fuck is going on with Pelosi, okay? I understand like there like it's a meme that she looks kind of awkward, but it's getting to the point now where like she's very, very old. Should she not just be put out to pasture? Can we not get like the 10 trillion year old lady as our House like our leader, you know, speaker? Jesus. How old is she? She's like 81 or 82 or something. 81 years old. The average age of Democrats in office is higher than the average age. Hold on. Average age House of Representatives by party. I saw this before. It's like 20. Yeah, look at this. Okay, this is a real problem. How old is Congress? Where is it? Right here. Where is it? There. Leadership. The average age of House leadership for Democrats is 72 versus 48 for Republicans. Chairs and ranking members, 68 versus 59. Democrats are way older than Republicans, massively so. Not gonna lie, I didn't expect that. It's just there are so many legacy candidates in the House of Representatives. There were so many Democrats who have been there forever and ever. That happened recently after the Tea Party took over. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Republicans are susceptible to outbreaks of popular sentiment within their party, right? Like when the neocons got supplanted by the Tea Partiers, and the Tea Partiers now by the QAnoners, like it actually does cycle new people into the party. But the Democrats are controlled by the same old like neoliberals that they have for a long time. Like keep in mind, guys, the difference between George Bush and Donald Trump is massive. It really is. The difference between Bill Clinton and Biden is not as large in terms of like what they do, how they appeal to people. Their underlying political motivations are I mean there are differences, don't get me wrong, but the Republican Party is definitely more susceptible to the sentiment of their population. Listen, it's a vibe check, okay?
And fourth and last, let's end cancer as we know it. This is personal. This is personal to me and to Jill and to Kamala and so many of you. So many of you have lost someone you love. Husband, wife, son, daughter, mom, dad. Cancer is the #2 cause of death in America, second only to heart disease. Last month, I announced the plan to supercharge the cancer moonshot that President Obama asked me to lead 6 years ago. Our goal is to cut cancer death rates by at least 50% over the next 25 years. And I think we can do better than that. Turn cancers from death sentences into treatable diseases. More support for patients and their families. To get there, I call on Congress to fund what I called ARPA-H, Advanced Research Projects Agency for Health.
What?
Patterned after DARPA in the Defense Department. Projects that led in DARPA to the internet, GPS, and so much more to make our forces more safer and be able to wage war with more clarity.
What?
ARPA will have a singular purpose: to drive breakthroughs in cancer.
DARPA is the Defense Research, but I know what DARPA is. I'm wondering what the fuck he's going on about.
Alzheimer's and diabetes and more. A unity agenda for the nation. We can do these things. It's within our power, and I don't see a partisan edge to any one of those 4 things. My fellow Americans, tonight we've gathered in this sacred space.
Making a DARPA for health, he talked about this last year. Yeah, I just feel like this is an irresponsible direction to take things, because as I understand it, when you do research like this, you very rarely end up in the places you expect to, right? Like, for instance, a lot of the modern technology we have isn't something that we directly pushed for as a product of us knowing our end goal and researching our way towards it, but rather as giving researchers a fuck ton of time and money and going like, all right, learn cool shit, good luck. And they just come up with good stuff, right? Like you've no idea which directions. Guys, for all we know, cancer might literally be uncurable. It might be a thing that is physiologically incapable of being cured in human beings reliably enough and with a low enough adverse rate of injury that it could ever be used medically. Now, I don't think that's the case, but it's possible. We genuinely do not know. There are limits. So if the goal here is we should give researchers a lot of money so they can do cool shit, I am 100% on board. I am infinity% on board, okay? In fact, I actually think that's probably a more valuable use of money than a welfare state. I legitimately do believe that, because the potential long-term benefits of massive technological breakthroughs could lead to an average increase in well-being significantly greater than what we can do with existing medical technology through the welfare state. Of course, in reality, we want both of these things. It's not either or. I'm only saying that it's something I value very highly. But I don't know if it's going to be like cancer oriented. It's just, you know, what they find out is what they find out, you know.
the citadel of democracy. In this capital, generation after generation of Americans have debated great questions amid great strife and have done great things. We fought for freedom, expanded liberty, debated totalitarianism and terror. We built the strongest, freest, and most prosperous nation the world has ever known. Now is the hour.
Romney looks a bit like Pierce Brosnan.
Our moment of responsibility, our test of resolve and conscience, of history itself. It is in this moment that our character of this generation is formed. Our purpose is found. Our future is forged. Well, I know this nation. We'll meet the test, protect freedom and liberty, expand fairness and opportunity, and we will save democracy. As hard as those times have been, I'm more optimistic about America today than I've been my whole life, because I see the future that's within our grasp, because I know there's simply nothing beyond our capacity. We're the only nation on earth that has always turned every crisis we've faced into an opportunity. The only nation that can be defined by a single word: possibilities. So on this night, on our 245th year as a nation, I've come to report on the state of the nation, the State of the Union. And my report is this: the State of the Union is strong because you, the American people, are strong. We are stronger today. We are stronger today than we were a year ago. And we'll be stronger a year from now than we are today. This is our moment to meet and overcome the challenge.
Man, I can see why people are liberals, dude. People who like really get involved, like really get invested, really feel hope and stuff like this. This life must be so much more calm. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, dude, it is the end of history, and like the America's special and American people are special and everything's gonna be all right because the guy who got elected says so. Let's go, you know?
Of our time, and we will, as one people, one America, the United States of America. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you. Go get him.
He's coming for us. All right, well, that was about what I expected, I guess. I don't know. We're really just not going to see any good stuff from a State of the Union address. We're not going to see anything truly poggers. It's just not a format. It really does feel like we've ceded the ability to, like, be a mover and a shaker over to the right. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, Trump's bad, but, like, Trump is definitely, if nothing else, you know, disruptive. Disruptiveness, when channeled properly, can be really politically effective, you know, when it happens.